De
Okay,
rien.
recording in progress, so it should be okay. Yeah, okay. The point is, I'm very new to presenting KeepLink and demonstrating how it works. So I think it would be a good point for me to review how I did and to progress in this matter.
Sounds great.
Okay, so perfect. So maybe I switch to my screen. So that's desktop one. Do I have over? No, okay, so I have to switch to this one. Okay, so let me just arrange something.
Mm-hmm.
Up. Should be good.
Good.
So do you see my iPhone?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay, so just telling that I'm sharing my screen, which is very okay. Oops.
There we go.
I can get rid of this one. I don't need two iPhones. Oh. Okay, stay here. Okay, so maybe just to start with and to explain the purpose of KeepLink. I did use GraphBase for a couple of times for professional purpose when I was, managing project and working in the IT and the financial fields. And I was somehow looking for the same kind of technology running on my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, there are very few of them, if not at all, allowing to build graphs on your iPhone and later on iPads. So I decided to build my own. And so that's what I did. And I worked on that for something like 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, a bit less than 10 years because obviously I have to work on the side.
Right.
So I was doing consulting and other IT stuff on the side. But all in all, it's about 10 years of working elapsed, not workload. And
Right.
I'm pretty happy with what I got. Obviously, there is some fine tuning and something I have to adapt. But I think I'm ready to start communicating and telling about KeepLink and maybe having people starting using it. So that's what I want to show you.
Sounds great.
So that's you on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's you, Jerry. That's the picture I sent you on my email to explain and to be very aware that KeepLink is really a graph, not a mind map or something else. There is it could look like a mind map, but actually you see that there is relation everywhere. So it's really a graph. And so, for instance, I see here that you are CW speakers tomorrow. So if I click on the speaker here, I see the map going around the speaker and the various speaker that will speak tomorrow on the day after. And so the context is always the same. So you should be familiar with this because you are using personal brain and somehow personal brain looks about the same. You click an item and you see what's around the item. So if I click on George, for instance, I see everything that is around George. So that's somehow the same kind of things you could have in a personal brain with the thoughts and the thoughts that are related to the main thoughts.
It's similar. It's not quite the same, but it's similar.
It's similar, yeah. But it's not the same things as you can see with, for instance, this one, Obsidian, which is more a note taker. And I think that most of the graph tools that are intended to use as personal knowledge graph, PKG, are most of the time, notes taking tools where you can link nodes together. But we are not dealing really with data. Okay, it's more about relating nodes together. With KeepLink, you're really connecting items together. This item could be a node, could be a picture, could be a contact, a project, website, or a document, or whatever you want. So that's the graph view. Was just to showing you that we are really talking about graphs. But because we are working on an iPhone, most of the time, working with lists is actually easier. So you can see more things and you can arrange the things as you want. So, you know, moving items in the list and having more information actually. Because in this case, that's your brain. So that's a shortcut, that's an internet shortcut. And you have a preview of the shortcut, and you see that it's a web, and there is the name. So not only the thumbnail, that's another internet shortcut. That's a tool in this case. That's an app, Personal Brain, and I see that you are using Personal Brain. So if I go to Personal Brain, I see that Personal Brain is used by Jerry Michalski, and so on. So I also want to show you that you can go further than this by putting information inside the link and also building the kind of links you want. For instance, you see here that the relation between you and Personal Brain is using, and is using is a kind of link. It's not a word. It's really a kind of link. The link is using. And the reverse name of is using is used by. So let's say, for instance, I want to get some more information about you, for instance, about the school where you were studying. Okay. So I'm just adding an item here, and let's say, I don't know, maybe let's say you were studying at Caltech, California Technology.
You could just put oh, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
You could use UCI, which was my undergraduate.
Let's do it. All right, great. So that's UCI. This one?
Yep. Which is the University of California at Irvine.
Oh, that's okay. That's University, California. And the U is for?
The University of California at Irvine.
At Irvine?
Irvine, yeah. IRVINE.
RRV.
No. IRVINE.
Irvine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Irvine. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, don't know this one. Okay, so that's the university. So I have picture of the university coming and the logo of the university. So let's take the logo.
Okay.
And but so far the relation I have between you and this university is not specified. Okay. If I go there and see what kind of link I have here, I have a simple link. I could switch to Jerry told me about UCI, or UCI is a Jerry, or Jerry is a UCI, which obviously wouldn't make sense in this case. But this one makes sense because KeepLink knows that you are a contact, so you are people, and that kind of relation applies for people. Okay, you can tell me about something, and you can tell me about UCI. But in this case, I want to go further and say that California, that UCI is actually a school. Okay, so I just building a new item there that I will call schools. Okay, I will take maybe a black icon for that. If I get any, which one we can take? Okay, let's take this one, for instance. Okay, so that's the school. And the relation between UCI and school should be something like UCI is a school, right? Okay. So UCI is a school, and I saw that there is a relation between UCI and you. And I wanted to build a new kind of link that would be studied at, that would link people to schools. Make sense?
Right.
Okay, so let's do it. I go to the tools, to the design, to the links, and I will add a new links here that I will code studied at. Okay, here's my link. So it's a link, and I want this link starts from contacts. Okay, so I just taking contacts here, create a link between contacts and studied, and it says studied at starts from contact, which is okay. And I want this link to finish to school. So I create a link between here and school, and studied at ends to school. Okay, so we have a link that starts from contact and to school. So now if I go back to you, okay, and see the kind of link I have here, I see that there is this link. Okay, Jerry studied at UCI. You see the point?
For sure.
That's great. How do you feel about this way of linking things and really managing links that make sense?
It's nice. And I like that you went into the links interface, and the brain supports thought typing and link typing, but I've never used it because it's time consuming. Right. And so very time consuming. So for me, all the added keystrokes and time to add something and then link it up are militate against actually using the tool transparently. What I would love would be if there was some machine learning that was watching what I was doing and said, oh, Jerry, UCI is a university. I think you attended it. Can I tag those up for you? So it would be really from my wish list item, this is an active wish list item. I would love it if there was some machine learning watching me in the brain or in your tool that says, hey, this is a university. People attend universities. Are you an alum? Yes, check, done. Right. And you're showing me a nicely crafted manual interface for the same thing.
Now, what about, okay, I got it. So let's say I'm adding a new tool. Okay, let's say, oops, sorry.
Yep. They'll be angry that you didn't spell them right. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Harvard. So Harvard is a school.
Right.
And let's say that, who do we have?
And it probably deserves its own different icon for Harvard, so it doesn't look like the school's generic icon.
Yeah, the point is, I didn't select an icon actually for Harvard, but you said you see that here in the timeline, Harvard got the school icon, which visually told me that okay, that's the school. So it's easier to retrieve things even when you're just dealing with text, because this item is typed being a school. You see this icon, so it's easier to retrieve. But obviously, I could select an icon from internet. I will have and this one. That's Harvard.
Right. Of course.
Okay. Check. Okay. And I'd like to say that maybe George was studying at Harvard. Okay. So I create a link between George and Harvard, and look.
Nice. That's good.
That's what you are looking for.
Good.
Okay. Why? Because
that's not exactly what I said.
Yeah.
But it's a nice shortcut.
Yeah. Because this link can be a smart link, meaning that when he's linking things that make sense, then he can use this link. Okay. And linking a contact to a school. So very likely the link is studied at. If not, if
you can go edit the link.
I can edit. If George was just telling me something about Harvard, I can use this one.
Right.
But we can go further. Let's say that school, actually, I create a link between school and companies. Telling that school actually is a subtype of companies. Okay. If I go to your UCI, you see that now I have this toolbar, that's communication bar, because it's a company, because school is a company, and because UCI is a school.
And companies have attributes.
Be able to call the company or to write or whatever I want. Okay. And going back to George, if I edit the link, now I have other options. Links like George works at Harvard. or I met George at Harvard. You see, because these links take care of the kind of item you have behind, then you can do that kind of things automatically or just in different choices. Okay, so that's about links. And the other very important things about links is that you can consider a link as an item, meaning adding other stuff inside. Let me go back to you and your relation with University, California. Yeah, okay. I want to add here in this link when you were studying at UCI. Okay.
Right.
So by editing the link, I can actually show the link, and that's the link between you and UCI.
Right.
And this is an item, meaning I can link other stuff there, okay, to the link, or I can add a description or whatever I want. It's really an item, so I can link things to links. Okay. So, for instance, let's say that who told me this, and let's say that George told me this. Okay, I'm just telling that George told me that you were studying at Caltech, at UCI.
Right.
Okay, and if I want to say, okay, you were studying there, from what period were you there?
Good question. 1980 to 1984.
1980 to
no, I'm wrong. 1976 to 1980. Good Lord.
You can't be that. You can't be that old.
C'est vrai.
76. Really?
Yeah. I'm a high school graduate from 1976.
Wow.
So I'm my birthday. I turned 62 this Friday.
Okay. Impressive.
1980 is the final year. So 76 to 80. Yeah. Merci.
De rien. Okay. So now I see that there is you are related to University of California. Okay, from 19 to 80. And if I go to UCI, oh, I have a. Are you still okay with,
nice.
with me? Yeah. Okay. And if I go to University of California, I see that you were there from. So, you know, this link things, okay, that you see here. You see that's not just an item. It's not just you. It's not just UCI. It's the link between you and UCI. Okay?
Nice.
And you can do that for almost everything. And there is no limit at the density of information you can put in links. Okay, I told you that George was the one who told me about the fact that you were studying at the university, but right. I can also say, okay, where did he told me this? And I could go. It was to the connected to this event. Okay, it was at this event he told me this, so I can edit the link, show the link between George and your link with UCI, and say, okay, I'm just putting this connected data word to say, okay, it was during the CDW 21.
Right.
See, very powerful. And as far as I know, I don't know tools or apps that allow you to do that kind of things so far, as I know. Okay, now just a quick view on properties, maybe. Let's say I want to capture the information when was the University of California built, incorporated. Okay, so I want to add a property to school to say what is the date or what is the year of incorporation.
1965.
1965. Okay, so you are very new. One of the first.
It's a new school. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's funny, small side note, the founding chancellor of the school was an agricultural economist named Dan Aldrich, who planted hundreds of trees across campus. But when I lived on campus, which is a big circle, you could see across campus, you could see the other buildings. I went back years later and it was just all high trees. You could no longer see, anything across campus. It was very interesting.
Okay. So let me go back to the design feature. I'm going to the properties. And in this case, I will not use a date, but I will use a number just to capture the year. Okay, so I'm adding a new number that I will call incorporated. And I want this property to define school. Okay, so I create a link between incorporated and school, and the one you select is incorporated defines school. Okay.
And if you connected that to companies, it would cascade down to schools?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it would inherit the properties?
Yeah, you're right. So let's do that for companies instead of school. You can actually do that for many, because I could say, okay, it could also define companies.
Right.
Okay. So I have actually both, defines company, defines schools. I don't need to define schools, because schools being a company, it's already done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
But you could say, okay, speed defines animals, but also speeds define vehicle and that kind of things. Okay, even if the two are not related, but you can use the same property, meaning doing aggregation or computation with something that defines items or various type, which could be very useful at some time.
Right.
Okay, so going back to UCI, incorporated is 1965. Okay, yeah. Oh, and I don't want this.
Yeah, it's not a numeric. It's a,
yeah. Let's do it.
Date format.
This just a single. Okay, and now that's
good.
Okay, and I can say, okay, I want to see this property in list or not. So far, it's show property in links, for instance. Okay, so when I go to my schools, I see that UCI was incorporated in 1965. So that's how you build your knowledge network. And
nice.
Yeah, it's very nice because the point is, because you have your phone with you all the time, and when you need to capture information or when you need to retrieve information, most of the time, you're not in front of your computer.
For me, that's actually not true, but you know, I know that modern generations are really using their phone first, and I'm intrigued that you decided to choose the most difficult design challenge, which is the tiny real estate of a phone, to do a graph, right? And you've done a very good job of that. But it's intriguing to me that you're focused entirely on the phone, because I can't stand using my phone for small stuff.
Yeah, but that's really the point, actually. I was using graphs on PC, but I was traveling a lot and meeting a lot of people. And when you meet someone or when you need to recall something, most of the time, the thing I had with me was my phone, not my not my computer. So that's really why I thought I need that kind of tool right in my phone, and it has to be fast. When I open it, I should get any kind of information. I have about 20,000 items in my phone right now. And most of the time, it's less than 3 clicks to retrieve anything you want. And also for capture. Yeah.
And if your app is connected to my calendar, for example, you could get context from the calendar that tells you who you're talking to now. So there could be some default settings for, hey, when I open KeepLink, show me what you think I'm about to do or need to do next or whatever. There's a bunch of things you could do because you're on the phone.
So far, it's not connected to the calendar. You can create events, okay, with dates and that kind of thing, but it's not connected to. There is no connection with the calendar. The only connection I have so far is with the contacts. So if you want to add the contacts, you get automatically the ones you have on your phone, pictures, obviously, videos, and documents. So you can add any kind of PDF, Excel, doc file, and create bookmark with them, and also all the website you want. But no calendar and no email.
Looks great. And so is this a self-funded, you said you've been working in this off and on for 10 years on the side. Has it all just been a self-funded effort? Do you have you sort of gone out for funding?
No,
What stage are you in now? Are you, what's your plan for the next stretch here?
my plan now is to, it's on the App Store now. I start communicating on it, so the next stage is to work on the website, to make some communication and explanation on what the product does, because so far it's just a very old landing page that doesn't tell everything. So it's more about communication, tutorials, examples, so that, because I don't, my aim is not having only people in the graph sphere using it, okay, because they already know the concept of linking things together and building knowledge with links. But I'd like to spread this way of working for more people. So having a very simple interface, I mean, adding links just by pressing the plus button, you press plus and you had your new school or whatever, and you can use it for almost everything, even for very day-to-day stuff like grocery or to-do list or pictures or planning very small projects like planning a trip. Or, I mean, as soon as you have to manage information and you want to do that very simple on the mobile device, iPhone or iPad, then it could be a very good tool, even if you never know or if you never heard about graphs.
Cool. And you don't seem to be a programmer, so I assume you contracted out the coding of this, or are you, or like how did this app get written?
What makes you believe I'm not a programmer?
I don't know. You don't. You haven't approached this. I don't know. Kind of my assumption. It doesn't. It may well be that you taught yourself how to create iPhone apps and you've written all the code here. So
actually, I'm a software engineer and I really built all the stuff by myself.
Oh, great. Okay, that's all. It's all DIY. Fabulous. And you built it for iPhone directly, or in a
it's not
in an environment. So us poor Android folk are going to have to wait a while.
Yeah. For Android user, you will have to wait a while. The point is, it was a very tough decision to do that only for iPhone, but because of technical constraint and because of the way information is managed on the Android, I was more comfortable, building it for security purpose and all the stuff, because there's no cloud behind KeepLink. I'm not hosting everything. You host your information on your phone. You backup your information the way you want, either on your PC or on iPhone. I guess on Android is the same. You have automatic backup done on the cloud, iCloud for Apple, for instance, and I guess there is other for Android. So you manage really the information the way you want, but I don't host any back end. So it's very easy for me to, I mean, it's very scalable for me. But the point is, as you are using this information within your phone, your information is in your phone. The good point is that whether you are network, no network, you have all your information with you. But the bad point is that if you have some corruption, if your data model of corruption in your files, then you will have, it will be very painful for you. And because the sandbox things within the iOS prevent any other apps to do anything with KeepLink data, which is not the case on Android. Android, it's a file manager system, and say every app can modify every file wherever they are. So it was kind of dangerous for me to start building for Android without cloud, and I didn't want to have all this information on the cloud, so that people are still master their information. That's why.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. So for the near future, this is only strictly an iPhone app, not also a web browser, on your laptop app, because
No.
there's no path there yet for the way you've decided to create this. And you said it was a very hard decision, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's working on it's really working for the Apple ecosystem, whether you're working it on iPhone, iPad, obviously, and now Mac, because the new Macs that are available with the M1 chips, you can run
And emulate iOS apps.
Yes, you can work any iPad apps on it, so it's working on Macs also. But as you're not, I mean, KeepLink is not intended to write a lot of text. It's more managing with pictures or icons, thumbnail, and linking things together. So it's also, it's as easy to use on a very small device like an iPhone than you would do on an iPad or on a Mac. So that's really the target. You have your phone. You want to manage information. Just do that with your phone.
So I assume you've looked around and seen what other mind mapping apps are available on iOS, because that's your current competitive suite, I guess.
Yep.
And now you need to get attention.
Yes, I made some survey on that on a regular basis to see when I started. For instance, Personal Brain had nothing on iOS on smartphone. I believe in 2001. They started. It was three years ago. In 2017 or 18, they started their iOS version of Personal Brain or the Brain.
I've had the Brain on I have an iPad, so I am on iOS, and I've had a Brain on my iPad for, I don't know, as long as I can remember.
Oh, was
so the brain has been on iOS, but I never ever use my Brain on a phone because there's just not enough screen real estate, because the Brain is text oriented rather than image oriented.
Absolutely, and that's why KeepLink is image oriented. That's what, as soon as you type something, images comes and you can choose from images, which is easier to manage than text on that kind of device.
Right.
And I know people using Personal Brain on iPhone or Android, but most of the time it's just for retrieving information. They don't put anything inside, just a reader actually, and not a very good reader.
And I do all my editing on my laptop. All my brain work is really on my laptop. I will look things up on the iPad, but I will seldom, if for some reason my desktop version of the Brain is broken, I will add things grudgingly on the iPad, but the editing is not that much fun. You've optimized for handheld.
Yeah. For how long are you using the Brain?
I used to be a tech industry trends analyst, and I was on their first press tour 24 years ago.
Oh.
So it just became like tomorrow starts December, right? So that month is actually 24 years since I got the first briefing, and then they let me start using the software. And the data file that I have is the same data file that I started 24 years ago. So I've only ever had one big data file.
Wow.
And it has 480,000 things in it. Right? Because if you slowly linearly add data to one map, you get a good map. And I had a fear early on that the map would get corrupted or ugly or obsolete. And there's definitely old dead links in my Brain, but I don't get rid of dead companies because the Wayback Machine lets me see, what they did way back. The Wayback Machine at the Internet Archive lets me recover dead companies. So I see no reason to get rid of dead companies or bad links because they're history, right? So I feared that it might get ugly, but it hasn't. It's actually still works great, even with lots and lots and lots of data inside.
So that's the biggest Brain.
I have the largest man-made Brain file that anybody knows of. Yeah, that's that and $4 will get me a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Yeah. And so I'm interested in the panel tomorrow, and how people are looking at graphs, personal knowledge management, all that kind of stuff. And it's a super interesting space. So you're entering a quirky kind of on the one hand, it's kind of a narrow market, and it's very quirky in terms of certain people like certain things and they hate the other ones. And there's no consistency really across that. Some people who love Rome research and they're not that open to visual methods. They just want to type notes with double brackets, and they're happy with that. People who like mind manager type things or mindjet or whatnot are go that direction. It's really very interesting. And so the passion project that I started with lockdown is called Open Global Mind, and I don't remember if you saw that or know anything
you
about
sent me
it.
the link. Yeah.
Okay, good. And so Open Global Mind is an attempt to, hey, why don't we have an environment within which you could use your favorite kind of tool, but the data you create and that we all create could be shared and connected and linked and reliable, right?
Yeah.
And so trying, because we haven't really gotten there, to separate the tools from the data, so that when you add information about when UCI was founded, if I were to come look at that from a different viewing app and an editing app, I would be enriched by the data you added.
Talking about sharing information, how do you share information with your brain? Because you were kind enough to send me the link to your brain, but I feel like I had access to everything in your brain.
So pretty much yes. The way I share my brain is through the brain's proprietary servers and sync technology. In my brain, I can mark any thought private. I just check a box, it's an attribute. And then that thought is visible only to anybody logged in as me, right? So effectively, assuming that slight barrier doesn't break, less than 1% of my thoughts are private. I just don't mark a lot of things private. What I'll mark private is I'm invited to do a corporate event that should be kept quiet. So the event node will be marked private, but the people I meet at that event, they'll be public. And then I'll just connect them also to, staff of company X. Right.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't, so in this case, I might have added 50 thoughts, but only one of them was actually private. And then we've also exported my brain as JSON objects. And we keep threatening to import that bag of JSON objects, that very large bag of JSON objects, into other tools, but we really haven't had the staff funding or whatever to go do that a lot. And a couple of people have played with it, but we haven't gotten that far.
Do you have any way to select a part of the brain that you wanted to share? For instance, imagine you are working and you have many projects and you want to work with someone or with a team on some project, but you don't want to build a brain for that project, okay? Because there are things in that brain that are connected to other stuff that you don't want to share.
For my life, there's very few cases in which I want to build a wall like that where I don't want to share the whole brain, because I work as openly as I can. And I know other people who have multiple brains, either because they're trying to sell access to brains that contain proprietary information, or they have different projects that they want to keep separate from each other. And for me, I'm trying to avoid at all costs having to divide up and separate different parts of my brain. You could do an export of a brain from, like, you could pick a node and then say, go 2 degrees out from this node and make an export of that. And one of the projects that we have, we call Meme Brain. We did this early in Open Global Mind. And it's a little scraper that basically says, there's a couple different ways to do this, but you can export brain contents into a really, really simple website. Right. And one of the hypotheses is the brain is just too complicated to display for most citizens, most ordinary people. So if we make it look like a website, then the value of the content is there, but not the confusing interface.
Yeah.
And so hence the export to a website kind of thing. And that exists. It's not very compelling to me. So I haven't really used my brain to do that, to create extracts, but another fellow who's a black belt brain user is using that all the time, and makes these extract mini sites constantly.
But I think sharing information is a very important part of, actually sharing information, I would say.
Sure.
And that's very easy when you're talking about hierarchical information, because you take a node and everything that is under, you want to share it. But as long as you're working with the brain, I mean, with a network of information, then telling what is the boundary of the information I want to share or I want to collaborate with, and what is the part I don't want, or maybe I want to work on a project with people with that boundaries and with other people with that boundaries, and the rest is just for me. So defining the boundaries within your brain or within your network of information is kind of difficult. And you told me about the brain features of telling, okay, I start from this node and I want to go, I want to take everything level 2, for instance. Okay, so it's a child and grandchildren. I built something like this in KeepLink, where that's actually called a package. So you can build a package, whether a static one or a one-off or a collaborative package, where you define what's include, what's exclude, and you can really define very, very quickly and see graphically all the things that are part of the network. And each time you update the things, you see what has been updated and what will go outside and what is still inside, actually.
Right.
So that's a very neat feature, actually, to work on projects with other people, but having all your information in the same brain, whether that's collaborative information or personal information. Because most of the time in your brain, everything is connected, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way I think of things, is that everything is deeply intertwined. If you'll stop screen sharing for a second, I'll share my screen and show you a couple of things. Let's see. Let me screen share, go over here and pull the thumbnails down, and then go to, gosh, what were we just talking about? So this morning I had a call in my build OGM calls. And so here's how this kind of works. And of course, I haven't connected it to this one yet, so I need to do that. So 2021, 11:30. And that should give me the build OGM call. This is the call that I just was on this morning. And so these are the things we talked about during this call. We talked about a post called Finding Language Market Fit, how to make customers feel like you've read their minds, which is under product market fit, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, why would I want to separate 1, 2, 3 degrees out? I really like, part of the benefit and beauty of having this endless context that just continues forever is that you can now go, oh, product market fit is part of lean startup culture. That's interesting. It's also part of product design, which I don't have it connected to. So why don't I make that link right now? So here's product design, and my machine is a little slow. I'm waiting for an M1 to arrive. So here's product design. Awesome. And now you can go see everything I've ever connected to product design. Right? Here are chief product officers, here are design strategy firms and experts. Awesome. And I didn't know how many degrees away from the starting point I wanted to go, but I wanted to give you the power to go find these things from this morning's call, right? We talked about E.M. Schumacher's book, Small is Beautiful, and that took me to the concept of Small is Beautiful and Leopold Kohr. And then we remembered that he wrote an essay called, oops, not that one. Let me go back. Disunion Now, this one, a plea for society based upon small autonomous units. And so I connected this essay to today's call. And I just made a little detour and you know, wandered.
Yeah, which is fantastic, because you are mostly academic and working with academic information with academic people.
Not actually at all.
Look, in my brain, in the 20,000 information I have in my brain, I also have my credit cards or my invoices or my paper or the family pictures and that kind of things.
No, that's true, and I don't have a lot of those things mingled in here. I do have links to my photo albums and all of that, and I have links to my accounts, but I don't have my passwords in here at all. And so you could, if you knew where to look, you might be able to figure out where my bank account is, but you couldn't get into my bank account. Right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. No, exactly. Hopefully. So
But
yeah,
that's,
so
but
there
that's
is
really the
some
point.
mingling of it.
Actually, I don't know anyone who does what you do. I mean, sharing everything, being
Almost
transparent, actually,
everything.
in terms of yeah, almost everything.
Almost everything.
That's very unusual.
That's true. And my use of the tool is unusual. I'm the only brain user I know who has one brain file.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, pre-pandemic times, we had a Zoom call with I had a Zoom call with two other black belt brain users. And each of us was using the brain dramatically different from the other two, which has got to be a problem for the brain's inventor. It's like, crap, every time I add a feature, I'm making this person happy and this person angry. It's a very, very interesting kind of world. It's a very quirky, right? And one of the people was using the brain. He was using it like you would do Microsoft Word. He might create 5 new brain files every day. And to me, that's just utter nonsense and tragedy. And so he was also using all of the advanced features of the brain, and he had connected macros to it and whatever. So I said, like, we're both familiar with getting things done. Why don't you create a new to-do item in the GTD framework using your brain? So he creates a new brain file, launches a macro, and blah, 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 blah. Something happens on screen. And at the end of what he does, I do not understand what he did or why he did it that way. It makes no sense to me at all. None. And I'm like, damn, that's different from what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do we create an architecture that lets each of us have our preferences, but then share as much data as possible into a commons of information. Right. And this commons I call the big fungus. Go ahead.
For instance, I remember I attended a demonstration of a new tool some years ago, small box dedicated to manage all your information with kind of networks. And the guy on the stage was the CEO, yeah. And he was just very happy with the stuff, some kind of...
Now you're breaking up on me.
Oh, okay. Am I back?
Yes, the CEO is the last thing I heard.
Okay. You know what? Oh, okay. Give me just 1 second, please.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and that guy just show the network information, various files were there, and so on. And at some point, he was looking for the picture. He wanted to show some pictures, and he didn't manage to retrieve in the brain where the picture folder was, because someone who come previously, some CTO, come previously and added one item at some point. And so, as in KeepLink, things were moving.
Yeah.
And you don't retrieve, you just don't retrieve anything there, because all the things change because you add things. And
so in the rubber band view, in the view that you have, everything moves whenever you add anything, right? In the view the brain has, one of the reasons I love the brain, I'll just screen share real quick.
Yeah,
one of the reasons I love the brain is that you can only link things up, down, and left.
Absolutely.
And that means it forces local structure, but not overall hierarchy. This is not a hierarchical tool. It's just a multi-directed graph. It doesn't care about circular references, none of that. It gives you a tremendous amount of freedom, but it forces you to do this local structure kind of thing, which I really, really like.
Yeah,
right.
But this means that you have only 3 kinds of links, actually. Actually, 2 kinds of links.
Two kinds of links, up, down, left, right.
Father, child, subchild, and siblings or brothers or whatever you want on the side, right?
Yep.
So that's only 2 kinds of links, and that's very poor if you want to build a knowledge. That's my point.
Well, so I'm not a semiotician nor a logician or any of that, and there are some of those people in Open Global Mind. There's a fellow named Jack Park who wrote the spec for the ISO spec for topic mapping. And he is part of our community. He's been wrestling with cancer for a long time, but he really goes extremely deep into his project is called the Topic Quest Foundation. He can run circles around me on what's the difference between a concept map, a mind map, and a topic map, for example. right?
Mhm.
And I won't claim that the brain is any of those things. What I will claim is that the brain gives me an expressive capacity that I have not found in any other tool. The constraint, this simple constraint of up, down, or left, right,
Yeah.
that simple constraint allows me to see where I am, orient myself constantly, add information easily, make lots and lots of links so that I'm richly connected, but not over connected to the point where I lose the program and can't make my way through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do agree with you on that point. And that's why personally, I mostly use the list view instead of the graph view in KeepLink, because the list, you know where things are. You can change the position if something is more meaningful to you, keeping it top or going bottom.
But once your list grows long, list views. So Rome is an outline,
Yeah.
and whenever I go back to an outliner, I feel like somebody's cut off a limb. I seriously feel like I've lost a limb because suddenly I have to collapse and expand and scroll up and down. And once your database contains a bunch of information, scrolling up and down is death.
Yeah, but yes, I do agree with that. But you have ways to see. Maybe can I?
Go ahead, you can share again. And I have another call happening in this Zoom at the top of the hour, I'm afraid.
Okay, very quickly, just to show you some important. Oh, sorry. Okay. No.
Yep. Don't leave the call.
Yeah. Let me go back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So far, you see some very, very few information there. Okay, but there is a way to actually extend the list.
Mm-hmm.
And doing so, you saw what are directly related to you,
mm-hmm.
and what are related to the items that are related to you. So you already have.
It's like second degree or third order links.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's a very good way if you want to have more information, because you are dealing with very big list of information. To instead
right.
of opening to spread or to collapse or to extend to see the things, there you see that there is other way to show the information where you can see a bunch of information, even if you are just dealing with lists. Once again, because we are using pictures as much as we can.
And see, so instance, part of my problem is when I first saw your display, I was like, who is that guy in the black and white picture? And I did not recognize George. And so really? I would have had to click on him or mouse on him. George is not a close friend of mine. He's an acquaintance through the CDW and other sort of stuff. So I would have really loved to have seen his name immediately show up next to his name. Just seeing his icon was not helpful to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the reason I love the brain is that this is just my text is very rich for me, but short text. And as soon as you get paragraphs, I'm like way too much information, right?
Yeah.
But short text I find extremely helpful and easy to read. Where icons in a cluster, I'm like, I'm not sure what that icon is.
Okay. If you don't want to put icons, you could
right.
You could add this way, okay, and then you will see. You would see in the.
So if we go back to the map view. There we go. So now I get his name in the square. Okay, yeah. So if there is no image, it gives me his name. His name is actually more useful to me than his image.
Okay, and that's once again, as you said previously, with the two guys who are using personal brain different way. That's right. That really depends on in France we say les goûts et les couleurs. Right. That's the kind of color you want to use, or if you want to use pictures or name. That's the thing. You have the choice here. Okay, personal brain don't give you the choice. That's just text. Here you can say, okay, I want a picture or I want to deal with text. That's easier for me. You choose.
So if you might want to join in the conversations around Open Global Mind and share this recording or just show people what the tool is and so forth, because there's a bunch of people in Open Global Mind who care about these things and who might be helpful to you. I think it would be a good place to just say, hey, I'm a developer. I've got this cool tool that lets you do this and this and this. It's very smart about how it manages links between things, semantic links of different kinds, metadata, and so forth. And there's a bunch of people who would be interested. So I'm trying to think of how I and the community can be helpful to you.
By spreading the fact that there is this technology that exists, these apps that exist, and if people want to try it or want to talk about it and want to improve it by asking questions, right, or by obviously the more people that will know that KeepLink exists, the better the product will raise. That's the point.
Right. And if you're in the App Store already, then somebody could download it and try it out, and send you comments, all of that. So
absolutely, that's already in the store.
Yep, that would work out fine. Cool, which means I should be able to install it on my iPad.
Absolutely, yeah. And we see with iPad you will have multiple columns, so you can actually switch from one column or another, or switch the graphical view, having the graphical view on the side and the column on the other side. So there is plenty of way to use it.
That's great, because I was going to ask you whether the iPad was just a bigger blow up of the iPhone, or if you would customize for the iPad, which is really useful.
Yeah,
fabulous.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
You're very welcome. Any other way I can help you, or whatever else?
Maybe just having a call maybe in 1 week after you have played with KeepLink on your iPad.
We can try that, sure. And I'll add you to the OGM list and see if where you want to come into those conversations.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Merci. À bientôt.
Merci. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye.